She's a silent partner in the Garland Street, Garland Road. Oh, sorry.
All right.
Before you start knocking.
Just again.
Open mouth, insert foot.
Tyler certainly has brought a certain new liveliness to this board. All right, it is 6:30, so we will start the June 18th Select Board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty then. Okay. We will start with manifests.
I'll make a motion that we approve the accounts payable manifest of June 18th, 2018, and the payroll manifest of June 19th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Jesus. We're just saying integrity.
Well, we need it.
Yeah.
I think that's a land use.
Really?
Do you guys have any amendments to the non-public minutes?
I did not.
4?
No.
No?
Do you want me to make a motion to the minutes?
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we approve the public minutes of June 4th, 2018, and the non-public minutes of June 4th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Alrighty then. Boards and committees.
Budget's in July,
Budget, July.
July 26th, we'll meet.
Okay, planning, we received pretty detailed
From
Tony, but I think we'll delay that until when Tony's here to be able to discuss that. They were quite meaty. I do have a question, Chris. Looking out on the website, neither the planning board nor the zoning board has minutes for like the last 2 to 3 months. And I'm wondering what's going on there. I understand that there's, you know, with planning in particular, that there was a shift, but why aren't there any minutes?
Oh, we should be doing that.
usually we do.
Shouldn't. All right.
Planning board was April,
Okay.
was the last one. So we should try to get that.
Yeah, we can fix that.
Maybe they're behind in approving them.
Well, with all due respect, they shouldn't be 3 months behind in approving them, right? Marston, so we were scheduled to have a meeting last week to kind of get an update from Matt and team, and we have a revised design. The first estimates, as we'll recall, were out of the ballpark, no pun intended. And so there were some thoughts, some of the folks in town had some thoughts about how we could reduce those costs, bring it back down within our budget. And there's been some design effort done around that, and now it's in the hands of a contractor recommended by Gary Cowan, who is just doing the estimating for it. So that will be the next step, is that they'll be coming back to us with a revised plan and estimate.
So is this revised from, I think it was a year ago that Matt came to us with kind of a revised or a new phase
Yeah,
one. Is this
yeah.
even further
Yes, it is.
revised?
Yeah, and it mostly has to do with the amount of fill that is needed and required, so we'll hopefully get that from them in the next couple of weeks. The thinking is that if we can get that, look at that, approve that, and they can get going by September, as long as we can get like grass in by the end of September, we should be good. So that's what they're working towards.
So, again, will we be able to see this revised
Yeah,
design?
once we have it, because obviously we'll have to look at the budget, right? And the design goes with the budget.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's gone slow. Part of it's gone slow is because we've had, volunteers
Volunteers.
helping us with that, all with the intention of saving town money, which these guys are working really hard to do that, and I appreciate all their efforts, so that's where we are. And that's it. Town administrator.
To start with the good news, we rolled a dump truck today.
Are you kidding me?
No. Initial report looks like a bolt or a nut in the lift mechanism failed. That's news to you since you were here. They pulled that apart, tipped it over on its side. The frame was pretty twisted while it was laying there on its side, so we don't know. We don't know the prognosis. Got it back to the shed, and it's on its way to the shop in the morning, and we'll report to insurance and see what it's going to take to make it roadworthy, if it's possible to make it roadworthy. We don't know. It was pretty grim looking, but drove better than expected. The fact that it drove back to the shop was good news. Ben and I looked at it when it got back there. It looked much better than it did on site, but we should know more in a week or so. It was our '05 International 10-wheeler, about 13 years old. I think that's everything we know now.
What's the impact of not having that truck?
It's fine in the summer. It won't hurt us at all in the summer, but in the winter, we need at least 4 heavy trucks, preferably 5. We'll wait and see what the prognosis is there before we decide what to do. But
You know off the top of your head what we've got in capital reserve for the highway department?
oh no, we not nowhere near enough to replace a dump truck.
Right, so
Yeah.
we'll probably
Yeah,
get-
nor
if
nor
it's
do we have
really
the
bad, we'll
authority.
have to go to-
If we lose the use of that, we'll have to contract out something for this season, because we won't be able to acquire any, well, maybe we could find some really old something for money that we have at our disposal, but we don't have a whole lot appropriated that's that flexible, so. Now, whether we were gonna carry 4 dump trucks forever into the future was an open question anyway, but this was not the oldest one, so, I'll keep you posted, but.
I'm gonna assume crew was okay?
Yes, nobody hurt. Yes, sorry, I should have opened with that. Nobody hurt. This is something that the board's been familiar with, but we haven't talked about it publicly. As part of our annual groundwater testing at the landfill, last year, DES told all the municipalities with closed landfills to test for PFCs this year, perfluorocarbons. You see it in the media as PFC, PFOA, PFS, there's a whole bunch of things they go by. So we did that, got the results back a couple weeks ago and found that we have high levels of PFCs in the groundwater at the landfill. First round of testing only, so we've ordered another set of testing, which will take place in the first week of July. Our engineers communicated with DES as soon as we saw that and kind of laid out our plan on what to do with it. DES has blessed that plan. So we will do a second round of testing in the, what is the second week of July?
You're out?
You're out.
Looks like the camera's out too.
Yeah,
Like your whole laptop or just the broadcast?
It's shut down.
Can you restart it?
power it back up.
Okay.
So we will do that second round of testing the week of July 9th. The results will take about a month to get in. We have notified 10 homeowners in the vicinity of the test results and offered to test their well water. So far, I've heard back from 3 of those 10 that are going to take us up on it. The initial thinking from our engineers is that with the wetlands that surround the landfill, that the risk is probably not that significant, but just out of an abundance of caution, we had them identify the most likely places that could theoretically be at risk, and they gave us those 10 and said, let's offer to test those and check that. Though that testing will take place at the same time, and the results will come back at the same time. So, I can't think of anything else. We don't know the source. Our engineers were involved with the capping of the landfill about 15 years ago, and what they know about what had been landfilled there, there was nothing in there that would be the classic source of that contamination that they're seeing in other places. So they're sharing information with DES and looking for comparable sites, looking for sites that were capped the same way, just to see if we can get a beat on what the source might be. I think that's everything we know about it, and
There's an upcoming listening session or something that I think it's EPA is doing around the state. It came across the email, trying to look at when it is. But I think it was on a date that I couldn't go, but no, I can't get it, but I'll send it to you.
yeah, if you find it, let me know and I'll spread the word. Yeah, it's,
It might be good to go just to.
yeah.
Okay, what else, Chris?
I think that's all the non-good news I have. Tyler's helping, Tyler and the IBEW are gonna help us out with the lot lighting out here.
Nice.
I
you,
think
Tyler.
you have passed around a picture of the direction that we're headed, so if you're all comfortable with that, we'll just keep
I haven't seen
moving. Oh, he can show you, it's a solar-powered, lamps,
Great.
new ones.
Where are we thinking?
Well, we're gonna look at it tonight again, but a couple on the existing pole, one on the snack shack to try and get that lower lot fully covered.
Oh, okay.
We can do more poles if we need to, but those may be sufficient.
Okay.
And then
300 watts.
perhaps the same lamp in the upper lot, which has just a classic street light right now, but we gotta go up and change that bulb anyway, because that's out, so we may just put a new fixture up there while we're, one of those solar fixtures up there.
And will those go on and off? Can we?
Yeah, they have a photo cell on them,
Are they,
so the
so,
photo cell closes at night, but we can set them up too for sensor, and so if people walk by, you know, they'll come on.
What's the other way? You said they go off at night?
Yeah, they have a photo cell on the top, so the thing closes as it gets dark, and then they come on.
Oh, okay, okay. So like when we leave here at 10:30 at night, they'll
They'll
be
be
on?
on, yeah.
Okay, cool.
but can we shut them off at midnight?
No.
So they'll stay on all night long?
But they're solar, so.
What's the life expectancy of the LED? I
No,
assume
that's-
that's LEDs.
Yeah, it has a 5-year warranty, it says, I forget, so many thousand hours. Keeps going.
Okay, so several years anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome, Tyler.
Yeah, so that will be
That's good.
We have a position open for highway equipment operator and laborer. That's been posted and applications are available. Anybody that knows anybody, send them our way. Full-time, permanent position. The only other thing of note, looks like the state has approved the expansion of the turnkey landfill today, which is where our solid waste goes. We had been watching that question out of fear for where it would go if the turnkey landfill didn't expand, it's filling up. So that, depending on your point of view about landfills.
Okay. Barn preservation easement. Oh, I'm sorry, building permits on private class 6 roads. I skipped.
Yeah, whatever order you want to do it in.
Why was it put on the agenda?
Which one?
Building permits.
Building permits on, we still have 3 permit applications pending. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. You said you wanted to tackle them. We asked the planning board to review and comment as the law dictates. I think all we're going to get back from them is what we got from Tony in that email. I think their discussion was pretty broad rather than specific, but I think that's what you're going to have to work with in the short term. You also asked for the fire chief's input, which I sent you this, I got this morning or midday today and sent you today.
So I think the last time that we met, there was discussion about the 3 in-process applications, whether or not we would have, provide input on those. And I think it was the desire of 4 out of 5 members of the board to express opinions on that. Chris did send out an email today that asked us to consider not doing that, given where they are in the process and the fairness of kind of changing the rules mid-game, but I'll open it up to the board to share thoughts or opinions at this point.
I'm not seeing what the fire chief said. All right, hang on a
Is there a
second.
letter attached to what I sent you?
Yeah.
So here's one thing I feel very strongly about that I don't want to do. I think that the topic that we agreed to talk about last time was the review of the existing applications in process. The bigger issue of if and how we handle this, I believe, has to be fully and properly posted so that anybody who has an interest in this knows that it's on the agenda and gets to come and hear and express opinions about it. That's how I feel.
So here's my question. 2 of the properties have deed restrictions to them as far as what can be built on them? And who enforces that? The building inspector?
Depends on the deed. I'm not familiar with those in particular. It's, sometimes those are civil matters and sometimes they aren't, so.
One of the deed restrictions calls out what kind of siding you can put on the house, what kind of roofing you can put on the house, how big the house can be. It's very, very specific.
Does the deed spell out who can, you know, somebody has to raise it in that sense, you know, typically, but I don't know, I haven't read it, so I don't know if, does the deed say that, you know, a homeowners association or something can contest that?
No,
or-
it was in the plan, it was in the subdivision plan,
Okay,
and then it was put into every deed restriction. So there's actually a case that's coming up, that's not before us, that is also on that road, that probably can't do what it wants to do based on the deed restriction.
So I just, you know, so again, I'm not smart enough on what the entire process should be. So, you know, deed restrictions is probably one of the factors that needs to be looked at, but is that us? Is it planning? Is it
I
zoning?
think it's building inspector for the deed
Building inspector,
restriction.
so I don't know. You know, so that's that's kind of, that was my hesitancy last week, or 2 weeks ago, to just dive into the review, because I don't know, like, what I don't know, right? So,
I'm not seeing the chief's thing, I'm just seeing a picture of his truck.
there was a article, there was a paper attached to it.
Comments on Moore's Road, Shore Drive, and Whitesville, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there is a Word document attached to it. You not seen it?
There, that's the, you got
Okay,
it.
let me download it. In the
Yeah, it goes
browser.
back and forth, I think, because of the.
It's a long road, too.
Yeah.
It only have one way in, one way out.
You have it up, for some reason I can't pull it up.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Just a sticker.
Bigger, can you
Yeah.
imagine if it was a engine?
Wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah. Can't tear around down the end, back all the way out. It goes through out there.
Keep scrolling down too and see the pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, can't even get a truck, just a pickup.
Yeah, I've been down those roads.
Truck's right on the road, actually, huh?
So the input from the chief is important, but again, I don't, I think that's part of what we have to consider when we're developing our process and criteria list. Not this particular example, but, you know, what do we want from the chief? What do we need to understand from the chief?
But I think that letter can be shared with the zoning. And I think I think the zoning board should be notified of some of the deed restrictions on 2 of the 3 that are coming before the
Isn't that normally part of their responsibility to understand that?
planning board should look at them, a zoning board should look at them.
Okay, so they should both know and understand that. Okay. Okay, so, for the purposes of tonight, the review of the applications in process, where do you guys stand on that?
I would say at this point, no, based on, you know, what the chief had, fire chief, I mean, we're just looking at those pictures. I mean, I need more information to feel more comfortable to make a better decision, more educated decision.
I agree.
Well, I mean, a couple of things that we can require is what has been in case law, in which there is a requirement for a sprinkler system to be put in to the house. It's an additional cost to the homeowner, but it addresses some of the concerns for the fire. And that's case law in which the town was right in doing that. So we're perfectly fine to require that for the safety of not just this current landowner, but future future residents.
Would not zoning be responsible for flag?
No, the zoning is, the point of going to zoning is, well, it's a stretch for zoning. It's a lack of frontage,
So who-
Zoning, that's a, if you're going to look for that to be required, this is a better place to do that than the zoning board. It's more related to your responsibilities than to those of the zoning board, I think, is the better way to do that.
Okay. So we would have to decide if that would be something that we would want to require, and look at the law and understand what the law says.
There's case law that shows that the town was right in requiring a sprinkler system.
Yeah, if that is driven by some systematic evaluation of fire access, then that's, you can connect those dots and make that requirement. And you could do that in lots of places. You could do that with some driveways. You could do that, on class 5 roads. You can do, same concept.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too, at a minimum, the deed before the building permit, the liability be put on the deed before the building permit be issued, and then, I think that landowner, permission.
So you're talking specifically to all three of the cases, or are you talking general?
Ones where there's a new house that needs to be built,
Okay, so you're talking general, you're not talking to the three cases.
so there's 2 that a new structure is being built. That should have landowners, because my understanding from the municipal association is just because it's in the easement doesn't mean that.
Wasn't one of them a carport?
No, that's not, that's one that is on a road that has a deed restriction
Okay.
as far as what you can and cannot build on that lot. And then the one with the ADU also has deed restrictions, which probably limit them that they can't build an ADU.
So where would you like to go from here?
I think it's notification to the ZBA and to the building inspector, the letter to the fire department, and the letter of the fire chief to both the building inspector and the zoning board. And then I think the requirement by law that the deed be the language to the deed be added about liability, which is in the RSA.
So I stand by my, my reluctance to do anything with these pending cases, because you're well versed in all of this, the rest of us are not. I think we've got a lot of homework to do, I think this is no small undertaking for us to understand, to get, knowledgeable, and then to define our criteria. That's my position. I think probably the best thing is for you to make a motion.
Well, we're not holding anything up, we're doing a review.
I understand.
And
I understand.
so if you'd like me to make a motion in that way, okay, I
Yeah.
will make a motion. So I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen authorize the town administrator to share to the zoning board and the building inspector the fire chief's letter that the deeds should be reviewed for the deed restrictions, and that per the RSA, no building permit should be allowed until the liability clause is put into the deed, which is law. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Good.
Does that end with a permit approval, or are those conditions of a permit approval, or are they? That should be in your motion, so that you could say, we approve a permit with.
Well, I'm not
those-
approving the permit. We
Okay,
don't-
so the end is
The
not,
RSA doesn't say that we approve it or disapprove it, it says that we review it.
no, it says that no permit shall be issued without your approval.
Okay. So then it's conditions of approval.
Okay, it's a pretty important distinction.
It's not that we're approving it, it's conditions for approval.
And if those conditions aren't met, then there's no approval.
Correct.
So what you're doing is you're defining criteria, or,
No, we're doing two things, notification and what's already required by law. It's not holding up the process.
given that the nature of the motion has just changed, I would appreciate it if you withdrew that motion and just made another.
Okay,
Okay? Just because the language
Yep.
has changed.
yep, I withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a new motion. Make a motion that we conditionally approve the, I need the cases.
It's gonna take me a minute to get street numbers.
While you're doing that, I'll write down.
Where am I gonna find those?
It's in the ZBA's, it's in the ZBA's agenda.
Yeah. No, that's where-
Hang on a sec, I
No,
got it.
That's where I
Chris.
was headed, but,
I got it, Chris.
want map and lot, you want,
No, I'll just do the case numbers.
okay.
Could just give me a second. That's dated January 22nd.
Yeah, why is that dated January 22nd?
What?
The chief's letter.
January 22nd, 2018. You meant June, didn't you?
No idea.
Well, today's not the 22nd, right? Today's the
I
18th.
didn't ask him for it
He did,
until,
he might have just copied and
A week
pasted from
ago,
another
so.
letter.
All right, so you did it on June 15th.
Yeah.
Tell me again the RSA. 641,
674.41.
674. Ready? Okay. I'm going to make a motion that the board conditionally approve case 18004 VA, case 18005 VA, case 18006 VA, and case 18007 VA.
007.
Yeah, VA. And that the zoning board and building inspector take under advisement the fire chief's letter of the,
When did you get this letter, Chris?
Today.
Delivered?
okay, delivered June 18th, 2018. That the building inspector and the zoning board uphold the deed restrictions of each lot, and that the building inspector parcel 67441.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All opposed? Don, I want to make it.
So chairperson, I'm gonna make a motion that we have a work session at a later date to
Absolutely.
educate ourselves on this.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And I do, I think it needs to be, Tony needs to be here because of all the background, and I do think it needs to be fully and clearly posted so that anyone in town who has an interest can participate in the discussion.
Before we move on, going back to the listening sessions, the dates for the,
Yes.
There's a listening session from 4:30 PM to 10 PM on Monday, June 25th at Exeter High School regarding the PFOS and PFOA. And then there's a working session from 8 to 3 PM on Tuesday, June 26, 2018 at Exeter High School. And it looks like it's being put on by, public is invited to speak on June 25th. It's the listening session.
EPA, not DES.
Looks like it's
Okay.
EPA to hold New England community engagement on PFAS.
All right, barn preservation easement.
Do you want to do your 7 o'clock?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. All right, so we've got a public hearing on spending up to $3,100 from the Conservation Fund for appraisal on the Bateman property. Okay, you guys, I said it will open the public hearing?
Yep.
I will open the public hearing on spending up to $3,100 from the Conservation Fund for an appraisal on the Bateman property regarding a conservation easement. Half of the cost to be returned to the Conservation Fund. This public hearing is an opportunity for people to, for you guys, to come up and express opinions one way or the other.
You typically invite them up and have them sit here and
Come on up.
orchestrate all that. and-
Oh, right. Why didn't you put me on notice?
It's been a while.
Oh, you were off and running. I wasn't going to stop you midstream.
That's your job. Sorry, Sam, come on up and open the public hearing.
As chair of the Conservation Commission, I open the public hearing on the proposal to spend up to $3,100 from the Conservation Fund for an appraisal on the Bateman property regarding a conservation easement. Half of this cost is to be returned to the Conservation Fund from a grant that Southeast Land Trust has applied for on our behalf. So essentially we'll be spending about $1,550 out of the Conservation Fund once we get reimbursed. This is preparatory to putting or engaging in a conservation easement on the Bateman property on 152. They had some plans at one time to subdivide that property so that they could get the money to retire on. And this is in lieu of that. They would rather have the conservation easement on it so it could be left as farmland. They do have a person of interest who would like to purchase the property, but he can't afford the total price that they're looking for. And he is willing, and they are willing, to let him do a rent with an option, with a, option to buy, I guess it is, once the conservation easement is in place. Don't know exactly what the cost is, but I mean, if you look at four additional lots on that one, say at $75,000, I mean, that's $300,000. Probably sell the property for itself.
So can you just explain that again, the buyer
They have a potential buyer
for
for the property.
the entire property?
Yeah, the entire property, he wants to, and I don't know if those are his longhorns that are out there right now or not. I know there's some longhorns out there. They were raised in Herefords, I think, before that, so.
So he's willing to buy the property with the easement on it?
With the easement on it, because he wants to continue to raise cattle on it. Maybe some other farm animals also. But he can't afford the total asking price without the easement on it. This way, we take some more money later on out of the conservation fund to supplement the difference between the appraisal that'll come in as a subdivided, 4 lots subdivided off from the original versus, what it'll be with the conservation easement on it. There'll probably be some more money, well, I know there'll be some more money coming out of the conservation fund too. Whether we can find some other additional funds to help so we don't pay as much out of
So the 3,100 now,
Is
No,
transaction
that's-
cost.
that's- Yeah, we have a grant approved. Probably won't be paid until the easement, the appraisal is done.
so is the easement, is that on that list? Is that one?
This
that's
is,
on-
this is new, so it's not on that list yet.
Yeah, we haven't settled on any price or anything like that. We're
No,
waiting
it's
for the
still within
appraisal.
what you have.
Yeah. That's what we're hoping that.
Appraisal won't come in.
They may ask, depending upon what they get from easement, they may ask for difference in that, out of the conservation fund.
And the Batemans are willing to wait into next year in case, we don't have enough in the fund. Yep.
But from the public.
Yeah, well, you have any questions?
Yeah, but, all right, so my question,
But you're public.
Yes.
so you're working with CELT
Yes.
on this? Okay. Have you talked to CELT or has CELT talked to the landowner about putting an option to purchase at ag value on this property?
That was in part of the discussion.
Are they open to that?
Offering this.
Like, do you know if they are open to that?
It's been part of the discussion.
Because this could very quickly turn into forest land again, but if there's an option to purchase at ag value, it needs to be made. Are they, do you know if CELT's going for an ALE for the funding for it, for the easement?
Yeah, 50%.
It'd be great to put an OPAB on it. Which is an option to purchase at ag value, which means that the current owners will get a little bit more, not a lot, but a new person coming onto the land, they can only use it for farming, and it's a slightly different land cost to newcomers to come onto the land. It's something that's fairly new in the industry, but it's been used in a lot.
They can't just let it go fallow
And they can't
come
let
back
it
into
go
forest.
fallow. Which I think through the ALE, they can't let it go fallow. agricultural land easement. I think they have
Pasture
to
they
add a
can-
minimum hay.
Probably know more about this than we do. What's the penalty? Agricultural land is not,
SELT is responsible for maintaining it at a minimum, having a hay, so at a minimum, that's what they're required to do.
Anybody else on the board have any? Close the hearing on the,
You have the Conservation Commission's approval to spend, you should be saying if you are so.
We need a motion to approve the amount, right?
3,100, and that would be reimbursed to us.
Approve the full 3,100.
Make a motion that we approve $3,100. Appraisal, excuse me.
A second, sorry.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
you guys.
Communicated with them, got, I think, lost in the bureaucracy somewhere, haven't got a hard answer, but they heard us.
Good night, guys.
Hey,
All right. Well,
oh, and then the fire, okay. Go in order.
okay,
You're okay with that?
yeah, I'm just thinking that's gonna be a bit of a longer discussion. Okay. Chief, you have everybody here? All right, let's jump ahead to you guys.
Good evening, Jay Vilchak, Chief Nottingham Fire Rescue. I'd like to introduce the members of the Truck Purchase Committee that are here. Deputy Chief Matt Curry. Captain Mark Patterson. Lieutenant Butler Blank, come on.
You guys can grab chairs and put them right at the table there.
Robert Boston is another member, he's not here yet, I don't know if he's... It's away. We're here this evening to discuss the purchase of a new fire engine. Just want to refresh everyone's memory. Back in March town meeting, Article 5, we submitted a warrant article to raise and appropriate $525,000. The purpose of purchasing a new fire engine, authorize the withdrawal of $525,000 from there was no additional impact on the tax rate account, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it passed. So as part of our agreement at town meeting, past conversation we had with the board, we said we would go out and source a replacement, spec a replacement, come up with a price, come back with a recommendation to place the order. So the purpose of this is twofold, to bring you up to speed on what we are recommending for the purchase, and also the method. First is, we're recommending purchasing an HME, that's the model, that's the make, I should say, pumper tanker combination, capacity of 2,900 gallons, same manufacturer as our engine two. Overused that 1989 term, we leveraged a lot of design characteristics of our engine two. And it's
design of this engine, okay? Mainly, we operated very similarly, with the exception of the pump capacity increase, the pump capacity increase. We included a light tower, which was something of importance that we had purchased on our engine too. We did this with the forethought that looking down the road, that this truck is going to be our first new engine in the near future, and engine two is going to go away. We're halfway, about halfway through the engine two, 2009 and 2002. We're also, besides recommending the purchase of this model, like I said, has the same look and feel of previous engine two. Size-wise, the dual axle, because of the water capacity, it triples, almost 1,000 gallons is what we can. Size-wise, overall height, it's approximately 6 inches lower. If you look at the initial drawings, it's 6 inches lower than our engine two. I want to see the lower portion comes from the cab configuration. Our current engine two has an additional 11 ways in the back of the cab. That pushes the air conditioner up high. That's where it's 6 inches. This cab is actually lower, but the whole bearing of the head. The overall profile of the truck is 6 inches lower. Lengthwise, it's a foot longer, than the tanker that's the initial truck, and probably 2 feet longer. Same way as the other than that, we plan on utilizing equipment and tools out from engine two. Engine two will be repurposed as a motor vehicle piece in our second arriving engine. So the old tools will go from engine two, newer tools will go from engine two, and the new truck. There's one nozzle we have to purchase because it's got an additional 2.5 inch. Radio, we haven't decided the radio configuration yet. We may have nothing in this over here. What we need, the original radio in there is technically obsolete. Now we're going to go to replacement radios. I'm not going to buy on that. To get down the prices here, the price of this truck is not 536 before using HVAC purchasing. We'll get around $15,000 value when you get through all the paperwork. You're around $15,000 which is including paper, it's $15,000. Bottom line for ordering this truck is delivery, contractual, exceeded the order. Working for the history we have with it, the apparatus we have now, which I think I can speak for everybody now. Satisfied with the service that the local do. This dealer is out of Wisconsin, New Hampshire. They've been out of service our apparatus now. We provide some emergency service for the apparatus. Costs. Very responsive. Once again, service is good. Providing service, providing reasonable prices. Any question on the
Tools that you mentioned. Just out of curiosity, and this is educating me on this, why would you get one with the truck?
If you look, I believe, I don't know if you buy one of the pages, you'll see the deletes and or things like, ladders and things like that. We just purchased the replacement for the truck for that. For the purpose of it, tools, because they cost. We're talking about numerous things, nozzles, sides axes, haligans, it's got to be, cooler equipment that second portion of this is the requesting to use the protocol consortium. There are several different buying consortiums available. Few municipalities, fire departments, some of them are tied to Nottingham, Massachusetts. One of the indicated on the recommended is out of Texas. We executed paperwork a couple months ago. Join this consortium where we deal with almost like a GSA type. Using the consortium, what that buys us is it saves us from having to write a truck. Yeah, it's going to be tailored towards the truck that we. Other manufacturers have specific features that they highlight. They never end up being apples and apples. So it's very difficult to identify exactly how that problem. Some of the vendors provide you with what they make. There's a lot of customization. There's an urban type configuration. HME, if you look at starts out 3,000 gallons. The other shortcuts, it takes that, cuts the time for us to have.
It's really odd.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that too.
It's very valid. I also appreciate the work of all of you to figure out
What can be reused in order to save taxpayers money while not sacrificing everybody. You want a motion for us?
Sure. Just do the whole 525, we can do the radio at the end if we need it.
Come on down. Come on down. Tricentennial.
I might have rewritten.
Here's an extra.
So, has the spreadsheet changed?
No, no, nothing's changed. So, we talked quite extensively about this budget. Naturally, it's only a preliminary budget, a rough budget. Some items, I doubt that some of the smaller ones might go up, the larger ones might go down as we move along. Encampments, they go anywhere from what I can see. I contacted a Civil War reenactment group. They go anywhere from 5,000 to 20,000. So we kind of middle. Once we really formalize what we can get for reenactment groups. Part in a lot of different wars, and if we could get, reenactment groups in, maybe not reenactments, but maybe encampment groups. What some of the war activities for them, they can't now, I know that's what they do that for free. Still need to do that in 2022, but definitely approach them to bring down some World War II stuff. Thousand is out of the realm. The parade, a budget of $7,500 in there. I think we can do a hell of a parade for that kind of money. We might not need it all, but probably should have it in there. I'd rather have a little bit of a cushion than try to underfund things.
What would be some of the things that you could cover with the
Some marching bands, some musical groups, maybe some animal groups. I'd love to see like Oxygen come in from some mass rock. entertainment and music. I'd love to get the communities to put floats. They will. It's an important celebration for us. 300 years is something that we should be proud of. So that's what that money would go towards. Fireworks, I've done a lot of fireworks shows. I do one in Raymond, we spend $4,000, it's a small show.
Where would this be?
Well, that's something that's up in the air, we gotta kind of figure that all out.
It's up in the air.
Literally,
No pun
Sounds
intended.
like a Steve joke.
I mean,
Did you get that, Steve?
I bet I can put all this candy in front of me. Oh, I understand. So, you know, it'd be great if the Marston property was up and running. If not, we could do it at school. I don't know that we have enough room here with the parents' trees.
Okay, so I mean, a lot of these are estimates, we don't have to figure out the details of where we're at.
Right, we got plenty of time for that. I can get, you know, at, the bigger the shells, the more distance you need to structures. But if you got great visibility, you can do a great show with 3-inch shells. Those fireworks, promo and advertisement, we were talking pole banners, historical flags. 2022 logos on them. Maybe we could even get people to sponsor some of them. Flags. We haven't got a lot of poles we can put them on, but if we put it on all entryways into town, maybe some in front of Liars, some down in front of buildings. We might need a little bit, that might be a little bit light, but. Events, so we can list out what's going to happen throughout the course of the year. Maybe we get some local maybe we can do coffee machines here. Whatnot. Coffees are fine, what can something drawn out.
I love the idea of coloring books. Really do.
Right. I mean, so the commemorative book, we talked, there was a gentleman over in Deerfield that has done a few books. He takes pictures of then and he superimposes the now pictures over. Kind of cool. So, you know, different photographs then and now. Even if you couldn't superimpose them, maybe you know, one above the other, a little brief history of what it was. And then we turn that into a program also. Throwing stuff out there. I'm not really sure what it would cost. Again, that would be offset by book sales. So it's not really, I mean, it's in the budget, but it's, should earn us money and not cost us money. Again, putting in, we talked about the Nevers Band, hiring the Nevers Band. They played when we had the statue up at the square erected. They were. I think to have them come back and play for. Yeah, whenever that was erected, yeah, they came down. Oh yeah, vividly. They do this regression, you know. But so we thought that would be a nice touch for them to come back. We could get them for less now. Commemorative items, again, I mean, a fairly large budget item there, but we need to buy more hats. We only have 3 hats left. So we need to purchase more. I know, I'm getting ahead of myself, I realize that. But, you know, there's a lot of other things we could get to sell, you know, I know. Great, but we still had, there was a lot of cars there, although I didn't see many people. Not as many people as I wanted to see. Huge success. So commemorative items, again, an item that we put in there. We all self-funded, probably raise money for us. So again, it's there, but probably should be over the map was just a map of the town showing where the different events would be, different from the program. So that when you have an event that's in the town store, probably a crowd like map. I'll show you the different events. Kind of ties in something with the program. We talked about a picnic for the residents. Originally, I thought we'd do, I don't know, do we do it on the square? Originally, I thought sell tickets. Wasn't a bad idea. Why? They're spending, we're asking them to appropriate a fund. So I thought, sure, why not? I don't know. I thought probably the least we could do what we're asking every person to do. That was our thoughts. Harvest supper, same kind of thing. We thought in the fall we could do a harvest supper. If the community gardens are up and running down at the new complex down there. We're able to get some vegetables out of there and maybe people can bring some vegetables. So again, we threw a $5,000 figure on that. You know, throughout the year, we could have speakers come into town. Manatees, we can get them. Yeah, quite an intense list. But other than that, you know, we can hire speakers to come in and talk about March 25th. And maybe in April, we can hire speakers to come in and talk about how we can perform at the school for maybe demonstration. I know I'd rather like to get people to march to recreate that march. It would be quite an undertaking. I don't know that I don't think that it's really hard. Everybody wouldn't do 5 or 10 mile stretch. Big, quite an undertaking. At the very least, we could hire a bus. We could all load them on a bus and we could drive down while somebody spoke about it on our way there. And show them. It's quite a feat. I mean, I've driven that route a couple times, and it's quite a feat to do it in a day. And granted, it's probably going to take long then to do it on that.
Yeah, the idea of having like different things, maybe stuff like that. Each
Right, right, and that's what I thought, you know, relay type thing. Well, and that was the other thing, we did have we talked about scholarships, should we give out a scholarship? Cemetery, home tours, garden tours. When we talked about cemetery tours, we did a $5,000 to help the Historical Society print the cemetery, which is what we're very high on. Catalog and everything. It's very good. For our celebration. Absolutely.
Great thing about Nottingham, right?
Really
Great thing
is.
about Nottingham.
It is, no, it's a good thing. It's a small town, but the things that.
Interesting, because, I mean, we had that little demonstration up at the square at the Silly Cemetery. And they showed us how to research stone.
What's the Boston Post thing?
So here's, and I think we really need to jump on board with that. The Boston Post came out at the turn of the century, probably and they donated over 700 canes in state of New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts. And it was given out to the oldest citizen in town. Actually, it started out with the oldest male in town. So they had this ebony stick that he imported, had a gold top on it, it was engraved, Boston Post cane, and stated that it was the oldest living person in the town. And it was quite popular. Since then, a lot of towns have lost their canes.
Does it get handed down?
It's supposed to get handed down from person to person.
The next oldest person gets it.
However,
There's mixed reactions on whether people possess it.
Oh, my group of friends has done that with a cane that we made every
There you go.
decade milestone. yeah.
Some towns can't give it away.
It's pretty beaten.
right, but even if we, I mean, $150, so if the person wanted to keep it, or the family wanted to keep it, and frame it and hang it up as a momentum of grandma or grandpa having this cane.
It's a replica, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a bit of work to find out who our oldest citizen in town would be. But
So,
it would be a great thing to celebrate.
so you know what, this is exactly what we asked you to do. And this is great, coming in. I want to throw out a suggestion. Because I think, part of the success of all of this is building momentum over time, right? I also am kind of feeling, like, you know how much money did, which one did we achieve? Okay, and I think we said we have 50,000, like that, when we get to that point, right? So, when we were doing, first looking around Boston, and what we wanted to do with Boston, we engaged with New Hampshire Wizards. And they come in and they facilitate dialogues within the town. And that was how we went through the process of getting feedback on what people wanted to do or what it must do. Right? And so I'm wondering if that's something we should consider for this. Because what does it cost? $2,500. I have old files on my computer that just missed that out. $2,500. Basically what it was a night at the school. You were probably there. They set up like, you know, I don't know, 10, you know, circles of chairs, and there were different topics that they thought of individual types of things. So what I'm thinking is, you know, we obviously, you know, don't want to say let's go out and spend $200,000, but I'm also maybe questioning whether it's our job to say what the budget should be, or to start to build some interest from the community. Maybe it's through those listening sessions, so that then we can go to town meeting and say, here's what we've heard from people, here's what the proposed plan is, here's what I'm thinking is. If, you know, there's some feedback and stuff that people really want to do this, we need to increase, you know, in terms of more. Maybe we're thinking of that. I'm sitting here thinking that part of the success of all of this is getting people involved and excited about it.
It would be awesome to get every organization in town to get on board, excited about it. Pick up one little piece of this ball and just run with it.
But, for example, Line Paradise is going to have one of their, the PLRA is going to have their corporate library on a total. So we're actually reaching out a lot of the other.
Yeah, I thought the New Hampshire Listening thing worked well. Everything's been really great. I thought it worked well because we had, I'm sure, over 100 people that didn't participate in the So.
They may not, I'm sure somebody could convene that for you. They look for more controversial things and more
So
things that need
so maybe it's
mediation.
Not them. Maybe it's not them. But
Yeah, but somebody
Yeah,
can do that for
They might steer us in the right direction.
you. Or maybe there's a vehicle for existing events. I think you probably did some of that at Nottingham Day, Earth Day. Soliciting public input was
Right.
one of the things you were doing.
Yeah, but here's the difference. The difference is bringing people together and getting them talking and excited as a group, as opposed to one-off walking up to a group.
You know what was interesting to me, the town of Barrington, I think he invited the rest of the town to bring old pictures, remember the school cafeteria? And I think it was pretty successful. With that same thing, you've gathered a bunch of people in one room, and now you kind of got a spot where you can do some dialogue, and maybe do an end with some pictures, and then we open it up for some discussion, and where do you think we should go?
Personally, I think the budget, I think it's I mean, I'm less concerned about the details. Feel like we do a lot of things like that details right now. They're doing it's kind of giving us that.
Right, it gives us a
But,
great if we could come up with some kind of. It's a great place to live, it's a great place to play, I don't know, something.
what happens now,
It could be that.
Liars sell t-shirts on that line?
I mean, is there any way we can, hold the I hate to see all the work that these guys are doing, and then the event comes and we have
Well, that's why I'm proposing that, kind of like you
Should
say,
have.
dialogue.
a couple thousand, I mean, not for a few.
Right, it would be nice to have a big crowd. I mean, I understand some people shy away from the crowds and think it should be all local contained and smaller groups. We should be proud to celebrate our.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Jeez, Steve.
Town meeting is, it can be painful at times.
Charlie, what do you?
I think that getting the people together, listening, inputs, good idea, how you'd go about it. I think Boston was different, right? It was this long process of land that, you know, you could do anyway, and the huge interest in the it was already kind of that momentum going with that property. You know, there's a huge turnout meeting for it and stuff, so, don't know how you get that same, you know, I think taking some of what's here and getting input on it is, you know, would be great, and you know, seeing what other ideas might be out there that the community hasn't thought about, but you know, I think, and the mechanisms to do that are, to me, would be like the picnic breakfast and maybe like trying to solicit, you know, maybe get the school involved, getting the youth association involved, getting some of the existing organizations
And I have reached out to a lot of them.
that are active.
Reached out to the school and see if they couldn't maybe, at least that year's.
But I mean, even just getting some initial excitement.
Yeah.
Trying to invite them to our meetings and.
No, I like the idea of what's going on in town, that we can, you know, piggyback on stuff that's already going on, rather than trying to, because you're right, Marshall did do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it, I mean, like, one of the other things we could do is that, feedback on this, how much do you think we should spend?
And this is just, I mean, things that we thought was gonna cost money. A lot of other ideas that we
Yeah,
got out there that are not gonna cost money, so we didn't list them.
This would be good to put in an upcoming newsletter, like, you know, maybe chunk some of this together, but here's what the committee's thinking of, we're soliciting feedback, you know. Maybe that will start to prompt people's thinking, oh, when they're doing a lot of stuff at home, you know, that sounds like a great idea, but why can't I do this?
Nottingham put up a big, board, and we had yellow stickies.
Yep.
And we had people come over and write on a yellow sticky before that, not used to be used for. And so that was, we did that prior to license. So we had that as input from the meeting.
It'd be awesome if we could put together a little video. Past celebrations, different events. We'll have food for breakfast and something happening at the 250, 275. Pictures of town and choreograph it all together. Somehow plug it into. Oh, it's still in there. It's just not on this list because it didn't conjugate any money, because I was, naturally, it's self-funded.
That would be in the, yeah.
Because a lot of things are just gonna self-fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you accepting donations for this too?
I think we should. But we haven't asked them either. Program book, or
There's a lot of money, yeah.
we could ask for donations and maybe get some, maybe there's even some grants out there that we could apply for, I don't know.
I'd like to think about what that, you know, community engagement process looks like. You know, how do we start to get people involved, how do we start to get feedback? So, given that I'm in marketing, let me give that a thought. Because then you start to build excitement, and maybe now's not the right time.
Well, but
Yeah, I know, you're right.
we're gonna be doing the summer concert series, we're gonna cook Hamburg's hot dogs, we're gonna sell our t-shirts or hats or anything else that we get. So, we can start trying to build a little bit of buzz with that. Yeah, the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
All right.
those are venues to try to get some feedback off,
Yeah.
opposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing is that we've got to, that's absolutely correct. And then we've got to think of ways to get to the people who don't want to write those things. So,
Those are the ones we really gotta reach. The ones that sit home and get the bottom figure and say, oh my God.
yeah, we could set up a
Thinking of
Facebook
that, too.
Centennial page.
Yeah.
Have them vote on stuff, you know?
So speaking of the summer concert series, can I have you, well.
Just when everything was going so good.
I know. Hamburgers, hot dogs, because we're gonna sell hamburgers, hot dogs, probably potato chips. Veggie burgers for Steve.
Are you talking about every concert?
Every concert. So I can do it one of two ways. I mean.
How much are you asking for? Per concert?
Well, and that's the other thing. How would you prefer to do it? Would you do it per concert? Would you just give me $200 and just roll that money in to buy more product and keep tally of what's going on?
What time did the concert start?
Going out, coming in?
The only reason I'm asking is have most people eaten dinner before they go to concerts?
We're advertising, and Courtney says, no, they sell a fair amount of hot dogs and ice cream.
They used to sell, ice cream.
Courtney thought it
I
was.
usually bring dinner.
Is there a good
You
turnout?
see a lot of people bring food.
Did my schedule to.
People usually bring picnics.
But she said she did a fair amount of.
This will be right out here, right?
She's not going to this year because we're going to. She didn't want to do it. But she was looking for an organization to step in and help her out. Perfect opportunity.
What do you guys think?
Spend for,
So, I'm sorry, what? I don't-
he said you can either give me X amount for food, or you can just give me X amount and just make sure I
Right.
manage it properly, and just keep track of what.
Right, because I mean,
You'd said 200.
pay $200, we can buy, 20 hamburgers, 20 hot dogs, some ice cream, some buns.
So it's food, it's not hats.
No, hats would be a whole different budget.
Oh, I thought you said
Yeah,
hats.
No.
because that's why I was questioning, because if you're that, you're talking 1,000. Anyway,
The hats,
Well, hats are $12.50 a piece.
how much did you charge?
let's start with the hamburgers and hot dogs. Start with the hamburgers and the hot dogs.
Is the idea for selling the hamburgers and hot dogs to make a little cash, or is it?
Cold
To
reason.
buy next week's hamburgers and hot
Why,
dogs.
absolutely,
But, yeah.
absolutely, to make some money.
How much money will we make off of it?
Huh. Where's my crystal ball?
No, I mean, how much, all right, so how much are you gonna sell a hamburger for?
Well, that we haven't done our homework on yet, but I was thinking probably $5 a hamburger. A hamburger, a small bag of chips, and a bottle of water for
Tell you
you.
what, let's try it with one and see what it does. 100? No, I mean, one concert. Let's do one
Oh.
concert and see if we make money. All right, so how about we do it this way? How about you buy what you need? bring receipts to Chris. Does that work?
Yes, but if it works and you don't have a meeting at the right time and they want to do it again, we're going to leave them hanging.
Every week.
But it would
5
motivate
weeks.
you to
Would-
make enough
yeah.
time for the next week.
He's gotta make some for the next week, and you have something that goes into school, you know?
If you would be comfortable deferring authority for $500 to me for over the course of the summer, I can keep an eye on Steve's crazy bun spending. We can work together so that you
I'm
don't,
fine
so
with
that you
that.
don't need to discuss this every 2 weeks.
You guys fine with that? We're gonna empower Chris to,
I'll give you a full spreadsheet at the end of the concert series
Thank you.
detailing ketchup usage.
Detail right down to the squeeze of ketchup.
anybody opposed? All right, good
Go
job.
forth.
Good job, thank you.
So you don't want to buy any more hats? Think we should.
See how you do with the food.
I got 3
If
hats.
you're making good money on the food, then you talk to Chris. He's got $500 to make a decision.
Go with them again, use,
How many hats did you
use,
buy before?
Quite a bit.
use Facebook,
I
use the
bought
website.
14 hats.
You have 3 left.
I had 3 left with that turnout that we had at the Mirth Day.
How much did 14 hats cost?
14 hats cost us $175.
$175. And you sold them for 20? So how much was made? That's a bad math.
Would we,
times $750, $97.
$97?
Well, I don't know, you said you were making $750 a hat?
yep,
You sold 12 hats? 84 and $87.50.
Where's that 87.50?
gave it to the town.
I can
We gave it
verify that.
$390.
I didn't see it, but I can verify it, yes.
What about having again, using the website, using a Facebook page and asking people if they wanna buy them and have it can be set up where they can pay with a debit card, credit card.
Pre-order,
And as we get so many, that's when the order comes back. The more we buy. the cheaper it's
pre-order.
gonna be.
Yeah, you could pre-order hats.
Right, we've already turned in $390. I mean,
No,
if you felt more comfortable, we could use that money to replenish.
what he's suggesting is take orders. Are you on Facebook? You should set up a Facebook page.
Do.
Is there a Facebook
There
page?
is.
All right.
How come you're not on it?
I will be in about
Okay.
an hour if you guys get out of here.
That's not his
That wasn't a
fault.
hint or anything.
I know.
I really think we should use that $390 to replenish our.
Come up with a good slogan too.
You've got $500, you and Chris work it out.
Good slogan for the
Okay.
t-shirt.
Tyler has a slogan.
It ain't effing, but it ain't bad.
That's a good one.
Holy kid.
But,
I wouldn't want to.
That was for the jokester.
Getting that
Took me
look.
off.
You gotta come back with something.
All right,
Oh, Square. How do we take credit cards?
Well, I'm saying, we could probably put something on there where people could pay. Credit card, debit card.
Does the town have that capability?
She watching?
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about your
If we're gonna do debit cards, I mean, you
Let's talk to the rec department. We've got some credit card capability there.
can
It
do
might
the
work.
squares, but.
Man,
all right, guys, we have to move on.
we'll work on it.
Okay.
Oh, now we have to.
Now we have to move on.
Oh, now they're ready to. Fine, I'll leave.
Thank you, Steve.
Russ,
Thank you for
your
this.
thanks, guys, appreciate it very much. I'm gonna give some thought to how we market community feedback.
You need to reach out to me.
Like 3 bids on all those hot dog
You want me to put it out to bid? I'll put it out to bid. To be honest with you, I'm probably gonna hit up Hannaford's and Market Basket for some food.
You're in the right town.
So if we can get them to help out?
Take it back.
All right. A farm preservation easement.
All right, so was it last meeting, had a public hearing? Had some open questions. I believe Dawn sent you the answers to those questions from Romeo Benet, the property owner.
What is the body of my email? Avatar will be out there.
Oh, okay.
So you have everything you need to make a decision other than what is the dollar impact of that.
That was my question.
And you can use your score sheet there to come up with a percentage of easement level if you are inclined to approve any at all. It felt like you were headed that way, but you didn't speak to a yes or no. So if you want to make a yes or no and a percentage decision now, based on the ballpark numbers that you have, and the answers that you got, you can, or you can wait 2 weeks until you have the answers from Avatar and make a decision then.
What is it that Avatar's looking at?
They're gonna get the exact location and value of the structure and land underneath the structure that would be affected by the easement, and therefore
Determine
what the dollar value of that is. And the range that we figured out on the back of an envelope was, I think, measured in hundreds of dollars, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the savings is, per year. So in theory, the way the program is supposed to work is the intent is that if the homeowner makes renovations to the property, we should increase the value of the structure. This program is to help offset that value increase in assets. So as he replaces all of the windows, as he replaces the construction down, as he does all of these things, the value of those bonds will increase. And this will make it more cost effective.
But he's talking about $450.
At today's value. So Jonathan may be able to tell you if he renovates all that he says he's going to renovate, the value of these structures would go from
Oh, and then that's
what they are now at 10,000, 12,000 now to double that. Because you won't know. You won't know until you start.
He will be reluctant to tell you that the dollar value of a future improvement until he sees it. He might,
until he sees the improvement, or
yeah,
until he.
yeah, assessors generally are not gonna
He's
say.
not really gonna come back and give us anything to do.
He can tell you what today's, you can look, here's the structure, here's what it's assessed at, and I think this probably shows up in the what's the quality percentage mechanism in the assessment. Every property has a multiplier that is a percentage of one or less that reflects its quality, its condition. Condition is actually how that's probably where the assessment will change, whereas as the condition of the place improves, that percentage increases, and the taxation would go up by some amount. And just the back of the envelope numbers that we're talking about, it's measured in hundreds of dollars in the tax bill. The cost of an easement to the town is in today's dollars, measured in hundreds or less than $2,000.
I can't imagine that it would ever be over $2,000.
So that's just to put it to scale to you. We're not going to be able to tell you exactly what the dollar cost is until your inspection of the renovated facility.
So how long does that go on?
We've been a number of years on this program.
At that for 10 years?
Yes.
If he holds up his end of it.
And so it's not $2,000, it's 2,000 times.
Yes. Max.
The first year, I mean, we established the value right now, it would be $450 to $550 for the first couple of years. And that is the time and then I'm sorry, how does it get monitored? That is,
Whether it even be necessary on an annual basis. The routine assessing activity will reflect changes periodically, not every year, but periodically with every property, so it will get caught in those, as would anything that required a building permit.
Okay, so I'm just trying to, so he says I'm gonna do all this. You say, okay, based on the value, this is what the savings essentially to be. He defined the timeline for his work? Okay, so he doesn't have to define the timeline.
I think that's all.
But there's,
Year
but,
10. And
well, that was my question. So what? So what happens if somebody keeps saying, okay, I'm gonna do it. Year 10 comes, they have the benefit of the savings, but they haven't done any
There's,
work.
it's in the RSA, I think there's a
You
two,
can penalize them,
there's-
there's a penalty.
there's a 2-year period. that Nothing was done. That you can say,
You can
hey,
recoup funds if you did not follow through. Okay, fine.
Yeah, for the 10 years.
There is a mechanism for you to recover what you have given him, in a sense, through the easement, if the work's not done. So 10 years from now, or I think it may even be 5 years, you look back and you say, wait a minute, this place has deteriorated, it hasn't gotten better. You can act on that, whether you would choose to do that.
Thoughts, guys?
but when you go through the checklist,
It's 10 years, sorry.
he's in the 9 to 12 points. Everything that, you know, there is RSA easement evaluation.
And that's what I said, you guys, on Friday, were his answers in that document.
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
Well, he's already done a lot.
No, I know.
And that's,
You would also pay for it.
you want a motion?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we grant
79D.
Make a motion that per RSA 79D, we approve the request for preservation easement on map 59, lot 37. at 75%.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry, I wasn't sure you were done.
Yes,
A and B or just?
A and B, no, I have a B also, so A and B.
Is that the new one?
All right. So Steve, this is the point where we're gonna have to go into non-public.
Did you hear about the island postage factory?
Can I have a motion to go into non-public, please?
What was, which one?
A and B.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
I make a motion that we enter into non-public per RSA 91A:3, A and B.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Aye, Tyler Eaton.
I, Charlene Anderson.
Aye, Donna Danus. This is the last order of business, so when we come out of non-public, we will be adjourning the meeting.
I gotta